I think this is not only obviously the biggest fight of Terence Crawford's career, but in a career that's filled with almost nothing but huge fights, this is the biggest fight of Canelo Alvarez's career.
A lot stronger, and I think he's going to have better endurance. Not being able to boil himself down like that, and even though it is a huge jump, I think we lose sight of the fact of how much he had to boil down and how gaunt he looked at 140.
You said you don't think, or you don't look into the weight difference. Why?
When you know how to box, when you're as skillful as Terence Crawford is, weight don't really matter much.
Ahead of the explosive clash between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, Max Kellerman has given his final word on the fight. As part of Netflix's premier broadcast team assembled for this massive boxing spectacle, Kellerman delivers his trademark sharp analysis and historical context for what is shaping up to be one of the sport's most significant events.
A great chin. But in terms of, if you want to go skill for skill, especially the recent version of Canelo, who's had to turn into a seek and destroy guy, who had to learn as his career went on to cut off the ring and not just follow guys around. Like Lara, Trout, Floyd, he followed those guys around. He had trouble because he's really a natural counterpuncher who wants you to come to him. But in recent years at super middleweight, he's gotten really good at cutting off the ring. Again, last fight notwithstanding. So as an overall suite of skills, recent vintage, it's been Crawford. Mm-hmm. But Canelo also is skilled and has a larger skeleton than Crawford. No matter what they weigh, Canelo's the bigger guy.
Yeah. Kellerman doesn't hold back, declaring the Canelo Alvarez vs. Terence Crawford battle the most watched title fight in nearly half a century. He draws a parallel to the legendary Muhammad Ali-Leon Spinks rematch in 1978, which drew an astonishing 90 million television viewers. Kellerman stresses that with Netflix at the helm, this bout is far more than just another blockbuster. It marks a revolution in boxing's exposure and business model, set to deliver audiences far beyond the traditional pay-per-view scale.
Where would you rank this fight out of your top 3 to 5 of all the boxing fights you've called, you've experienced, you've watched?
In terms of the magnitude of the fight?
Yeah, the magnitude, yeah.
I mean, of the fights that I've called ringside, it might turn out to be number 1. I've done Pacquiao fights, I've done Mayweather fights, I've done Anthony Joshua against Klitschko, those are big fights, but this will, listen, because of Netflix, this will be the most watched fight, championship fight, in almost 50 years. This is going to be, because Muhammad Ali fought Leon Spinks in the rematch in '78, and they did 90 million TV sets. 90 million. And since then, what has even come close? The biggest fights have all been on pay-per-view, and they do 2 million buys. Oh my God, 4 million buys, Mayweather Pacquiao. As I keep saying, if 5 people per TV set watch, that's 20 million people. This is gonna do multiples of that. So, so when you look at it from like a commercial point of view, it'll easily be the biggest boxing event I've ever covered.
Fight promoter Dana White revealed at a recent press conference that Kellerman will return to commentary as part of Netflix's official broadcast crew for the highly anticipated Canelo vs. Crawford showdown on September 13, 2025. Kellerman, a seasoned boxing voice famed for his work on ESPN and HBO, will join John Anik and Hall of Famer Andre Ward in calling the action live from Allegiant Stadium. His presence signals a notable return to televised boxing, and he voiced his excitement at a press gathering, calling the fight the perfect storm. Kellerman stated that Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford stand as 2 of the best pound-for-pound boxers of this era. He noted that Crawford earns his vote for number 1, while acknowledging Canelo once held that Universal title not long ago, emphasizing how rare it is for fighters of such stature to meet. He pointed out that historically only 25 to 30 men have ever been considered the best pound-for-pound, and now both of these athletes belong in that elite group.
I want to bring up the first member of our broadcast team. He is the best boxing analyst in the sport. Ladies and gentlemen, Max Kellerman.
All right, so I know you guys are excited about this fight.
but I don't think you understand what a big deal it is. This is a perfect storm, a perfect storm. First of all, Turki Al-Sheikh, we're lucky he happens to be a boxing fan. You know, none of this happens if he doesn't happen to be a boxing fan. It's just none of us are here. Nick Khan, the best in the business. Dana White. Dana White is the greatest combat sports promoter of my lifetime. And it's his first ever boxing promotion. So that's who's behind what you're going to see. You know who's the best pound for pound fighter in the world? The most recent one. Bud Crawford. Apologies to the monster and Usyk. Bud Crawford has my vote for best pound for pound. Who was the best pound for pound before Bud? Canelo Alvarez, universally recognized that way. But it's not just these two guys, the last two best pound for pound fighters in the world. There haven't been that many. Before Canelo, who do you have? Before Canelo, Floyd or Andre Ward, Floyd Mayweather. Before, you could take the lineage back. There have only been, I don't know, 25 or 30 fighters who ever lived who you said that's the best pound for pound fighter in the world. These are two of them, the last two. And they're gonna fight in Las Vegas on September 13th. Canelo is 62-2 with 2 draws, 62-2-2. So was Marvin Hagler when Sugar Ray Leonard moved up to fight him, and they produced one of the biggest spectacles in the history of boxing. This fight is a perfect storm. I could not be more excited to be a part of it.
Timothy Bradley Jr. predicts the opening round of Canelo versus Crawford won't be explosive, but instead will play out like a chess match. He foresees both boxers exercising caution, avoiding reckless decisions while measuring rhythm, timing, and distance. Bradley notes Crawford's tendency to pace himself in big fights, waiting to lay calculated traps. At the same time, Canelo typically spends the early frames studying opponents and adjusting as the contest progresses. Bradley's reading suggests fans should expect a quiet first round where each fighter gathers crucial information before the action intensifies in later rounds.
His punching power as well. You know, in the beginning, it's all the position balance. Like both guys are going, trying to get balance and trying to find their rhythm. You know, understanding their distance to where they can punch and at the same time avoid getting hit. You know, it takes Crawford a little bit more time than I would say Canelo to get right to it. Canelo, although he is I would say he is a prolific counterpuncher, fantastic counterpuncher. You know, he tends to find his spots a lot quicker. You know, and the indication of that is when, if you look at any of the boxers that Canelo has faced, Trout, even Danny Jacobs, even when he fought against Charlo, you just check out the first round. You know, he usually takes off, just feels the power, you know, cruises, you know, see what these guys know, a couple of feints, level changes, you know, just gathering information, right? Crawford does the same and similar things. So I think the first round's going to be a real, like, calm and cautious round by both fighters. But in the second round, Canelo's going to start applying that pressure. Pre-engagement with Crawford is a little bit more difficult than a Charlo, okay? Now, let me explain. So pre-engagement is the movements before you get into that sweet spot, which is mid-range, to be able to let your hands go, right? Both guys are trying to counter each other's movement. Both guys are looking at each other's, you know, hands, trying to anticipate what they believe is going to come next. During those periods right there, Crawford is one of the best at it, okay? Because he's smart, he's cerebral. Like, a fighter to a fighter, we can feel when another fighter is like, oh, he's on my rhythm.
WBC lightweight champion Shakur Stevenson is steadfast in his view that Bud Crawford will defeat Canelo and perhaps even stop him. Stevenson has consistently highlighted Crawford's elite qualities, pointing out his speed, ring intelligence, and southpaw stance as clear advantages. He's gone so far as to predict that Crawford will cook Canelo, a vivid warning that the fight could turn one-sided. Stevenson first voiced this forecast back in 2021 and has repeatedly reaffirmed it, insisting that Crawford's accuracy and adaptability make him not just a viable challenger but the logical favorite in this high-stakes showdown.
I think Bud gonna cook Canelo. I think he's gonna cook him. I think, Canelo a hell of a fighter, but I think Bud just got all the tools to beat him.
You don't think the weight difference is gonna be too big of an advantage?
I think y'all make that something, in certain fights,
Boxing makes it something, not us.
like if this was like a Benavidez, he's actually a lot bigger than Bud, so that would apply. But I feel like with Canelo, he's physically kind of big, but height-wise, he's kind of small. So I don't think so. No, I think that's possible. I'm not saying that it's going to happen, but I think it's a possibility if Canelo gets to acting out of line and not understanding that Bud could crack too. So.
Crawford's unanimous decision over Israel Madram at 154 pounds did more than secure another title, it redefined his legacy with the capture of the WBA junior middleweight crown. In his first fight at that weight, Crawford became a 4-division world champion, placing himself among boxing's elite. Even more impressively, he is now the first male boxer of the 4-belt era to become undisputed in 2 divisions, super lightweight and welterweight, showcasing unmatched versatility and lasting excellence. This accomplishment underscores Crawford's consistent dominance across divisions and firmly establishes him among the sport's greatest, reflecting a rare mix of adaptability, durability, and elite-level brilliance. The Madrimov bout was not just another tally on his record, it revealed Crawford's capacity to carry his sharp timing, defensive brilliance, and ring IQ into a heavier division against naturally bigger rivals. Madrimov's reputation for strength and physicality was clear, but Crawford negated those attributes with precision, patience, and superior adjustments. He demonstrated that his abilities extend beyond a single weight class, scaling effectively as he moves up. This triumph assured fans and analysts that Crawford isn't merely surviving in higher divisions, he is excelling. It strengthened his standing as one of the most dangerous and adaptable fighters in boxing today.
August of 2024. He spent from 2018 until August of 2024, right? 6 years at 147, okay? And he's had 8 fights at 147, all knockouts, and 1 fight at 154, which was a unanimous decision over Israel Madrimov. So you can make a case he's actually a welterweight jumping to 168. But he did make a pit stop at 54 and became a champion. So we have to acknowledge that because that goes into his accomplishment bags. That makes him a 4-division champion. So the concern is Terence Crawford jumping up in weight. This is a weight class that Canelo Alvarez has now been in since 2020. He's been at this weight for 5 years when he made his debut against Caleb Smith. But remind you, he fought against Danny Jacobs at 160 in 2019. Then in November of 2019, he jumped to 75 and fought Sergey Kovalev, then came back down to 68. So it's doable, right? But with that said, everybody's concerned with the weight and how Terence Crawford puts on the weight. So let's explain it. As you see the new photos that Terence Crawford has leaked, Terence Crawford has lean bulks, okay? As you see here, Terence Crawford there, right? He has lean bulk, okay? He put the bulk on in his weight, in his legs, and in his shoulders to be able to take the punch.
Trainer Dave Caldwell points to Crawford's distinctive style, underlining his seamless stance switching and mastery of footwork to command distance. Caldwell observes that Crawford's legwork remains one of his most overlooked assets, enabling him to craft angles, frustrate rivals, and set the pace of fights. Facing a relentless pressure fighter like Canelo, Caldwell insists these traits could prove decisive. He notes that if Crawford sustains movement and avoids being pinned on the ropes, he possesses the arsenal to outmaneuver Canelo and accumulate points.
When the fight got made, I've always fancied Crawford. I just think he's different. I think there's something about him. I think if you add what Crawford's good at, his brain, he can switch, he's very good as a southpaw. His judgment of distance is fantastic. His punch picking is fantastic. He's got good legs. When you add what, and he can pop. I mean, listen, I'm not saying he's got the power to hurt Canelo, but he might have the power to surprise Canelo a little bit and just sting him and just. But when you look at what Crawford does well, and then I look at this version of Canelo, as Canelo's got on, his punch rate's gone down. His feet have never been the fastest, but he's always had good placement of feet. His feet aren't the fastest. And he loads up. And he don't really like boxing at a pace. So I kind of look at that and I think Crawford can manage his way through the fight to win it on points. I think he can manage moments, tough moments. When Canelo detonates a big shot on him, he's going to know about it because Crawford's been hurt before. When Crawford gets hit, he does get hit. That's why he's exciting, but he does get hit. So that means that Canelo could land on him. I just think that Canelo will land a bomb and Crawford knows enough to tie up, to get off at an angle.
At the same time, veteran trainer and analyst Teddy Atlas remarks that Crawford has yet to learn how to lose. This reflects his relentless mentality and inner toughness. Atlas stresses that Crawford merges supreme physical gifts, speed, defense, adaptability with an unyielding resilience and refusal to accept defeat. That mental edge, his confidence under duress, is what distinguishes him. Atlas regards Crawford's psychological strength as an intangible factor that rises above pure physical talent, enabling him to elevate when the stakes are highest. In his eyes, these unseen qualities make Crawford not only highly skilled but dangerously formidable.
Crawford, his composure going to be like the moment a punch lands on him from Canelo.
Are you kidding me? Take that question back.
Yeah, why?
Because you're talking about Crawford.
He's the weight classes.
The most composed guy. What, you don't think he'll be prepared? You think it'll be a shock to him? No. You think it'll be, oh my God, I didn't realize what I was getting myself into. That ain't happening with Crawford. Yeah. He knows exactly what he's getting himself and why. He's the one looking for it. He don't have nobody with a gun behind him saying you got to go do this. He's the one. And look, it's a tremendous challenge because Canelo's a tremendous fighter and bigger and strong, and he can obviously he can punch and he can time you and he can do all the things that have made him so special. There's no doubt about it. But we're forgetting about those things I just talked about with Crawford just because he's smaller. We're forgetting that. He'll come up with a game plan where he won't let the other guy use his size. Do you remember somebody named Manny Pacquiao when he was making his bones, the first time he hit the big stage? He got all these great fighters here. It was with a guy named Oscar De La Hoya, a hell of a fighter. And everyone said, oh, he'd be too small for him. And then I said, I gotta say, I got one right. I said, how about Manny's going to be too fast for him? Oh, Teddy, you guys, how about he's going to be too quick? How about he's going to be like a couple of those mosquitoes and gnats at a barbecue and disrupt the whole damn barbecue? How about that? Well, how about Crawford disrupts the whole damn barbecue?
Still, perspectives on Canelo Alvarez often swing to extremes, either discrediting his legacy by critiquing opponent quality or praising his resume without questioning it. By taking safer matchups or catchweight fights, Canelo often faces criticism, though he defends his record by noting that great contests require two willing fighters and that many of his foes step in only to survive.
It's just a fact. Canelo has fought the who's who, sure. Were all of them in their prime? No, but that's not his fault. He moved up in weight to fight some people. He sought out difficult opponents and matchups. You know, same way he was like, oh, Floyd didn't necessarily fight some of the best names in his resume at the best time in their career. Not his fault. Floyd went up and sought people out. So Canelo's sitting there like, yeah, I don't give a shit. And he's pretty much the only guy that can really say that right.
I feel that I'm the best and that's it. I don't focus on if the people say or put me in the first position, I'm the best. I feel I'm the best. I'm doing because I love boxing.
I call Canelo out because, like I said, he the last great fighter amongst the era that surpassed us. This is my mega fight. This is my moment.
You didn't have much interest in this Crawford fight. You were saying that there wasn't much in it for you, and you pointed out that people will say that he was too small. What changed?
I think he's one of the best fighters for more fun. No, he accomplished a lot of things too. Mexican with the American fighter is always big.
When he fights you at Allegiant Stadium,
Canelo's like, I knew the money was crazy. That's why he's like, yeah, I knew that the Mexican fighter versus the American fighter. Canelo can draw Allegiant Stadium. That's what it is. I mean, yes, there's the element of greatness involved as well. But Canelo knew he was getting a bag for this. Canelo knew that Terence had to do all the difficult stuff. Let's be honest about it. This is why I favor Canelo in the...
For Max Kellerman, the upcoming collision with Terence Crawford is far more than just another big event. It represents the defining fight of Canelo Alvarez's career. Kellerman acknowledges that Canelo already owns a Hall of Fame resume, conquering multiple divisions. Yet he emphasizes that none of those victories match the significance of meeting Crawford, an unbeaten technician who embodies the ultimate test of skill and adaptability. In Kellerman's opinion, the result will either raise Canelo into an untouchable legacy or leave doubts about whether he could conquer the sport's ultimate hurdle.
One thing about Canelo is he's been in a million big events. And I'm going to ask him about this just between you and me when he gets here. Don't tell him, but has he ever been in a bigger fight than this one? Is this everyone knows this is easily the biggest fight of Terence Crawford's career. But has he ever been in a fight as big as Canelo Alvarez, who's been in a million huge fights? Floyd Mayweather, that was huge and that was Floyd, but he was young then. He was young and he wasn't going to be in front of, 50 million people worldwide. Because this ain't a pay-per-view. This is available to everybody. I think Triple G, those were big fights, but not like this.
What's your perspective on this matchup? Do you see it as the era's most meaningful fight? And who do you think has the advantage? Share your views below.